Hey, what's up everyone? This is Brendan, aka Mystic Spider-Man. Gonna be jumping on a live to be able to practice talking about UFO and disclosure related stuff. So I think I may actually download and save this little broadcast that we're doing on TikTok to re-upload it to IGTV. So hey, if you're watching this on Instagram in the future, thank you so much. And make sure you're following me on TikTok too, Mystic Spider-Man. So cool. All right, so I'm just gonna be hanging out here for the next little bit. We'll see if people I'd love to be able to even have some people join on air, just to be able to do a little bit of a chit chat as well. And yeah, like the video that I posted on TikTok the other day, which was about like what you need to know about the UFO phenomena. It's been going like viral-ish. It's like currently over like 10K views. And that's awesome because again, you know, like there's a lot of talk going on right now within the collective consciousness about the UFO disclosure stuff that's happening. So I'll just kind of chit chat about it. Again, I'm gonna be talking here knowing that people are watching this in the future as well, and I'll also just kind of be answering any questions, replying to some comments, and yeah, just hanging out with people who are also super passionate about this and super interested. So if you're watching this in the future as well, leave some comments, leave some engagement, let me know what you think, because ultimately this is a discussion that we need to be able to engage in as a community. And I think what's important is to acknowledge that no single person has all the answers. I'm learning alongside each and every single one of you. And there's a lot of different experiences that we can kind of bring to the table. So, I mean, like for myself personally, I've had UFO experiences. And I remember like way back when I was young, obviously I was super passionate and fascinated by this. But until I actually had my first experience, it was something that was kind of like outside of my reality, you know, like it was something that I knew about. It was something that I had seen movies about and everything. But when I first had my initial like UFO experience, hey Kelly, thanks for joining in. When I first had my initial UFO experience, like at that moment forward, it was such a mind-blowing experience because I was like, okay, this is no longer just an idea. This is no longer theory. Like there is substance to this. There's an experience that I had as a result of this. What else is there, right? And so it really started moving me forward with a lot of questions and really just starting to look at the UFO phenomena a little bit differently and really getting curious. And if you guys are interested, I can tell you a little bit about the first UFO sighting that I've had like, I mean, at this point, it's weird. I've like kind of lost track. Like I've had two that have been like very, very prominent. And then I've had others that have been kind of like less, like on a scale of like 1 to 10. I've had two that have been like a 9 and a 10. And then I've had multiple others that have been maybe like 6s all the way down to maybe like a 1 or a 2. You know, some of the one where it's just like, you kind of see something and be like, huh, like was that a UFO? Was that a UFO? Like a little blip off in the distance. Not quite sure what that was. Was that a UFO? Still to this day, it's kind of one of those things where you might kind of see something and you're just kind of like, huh, maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. But some of the experiences that I had, like, oh, undeniably, like it was definitely something incredibly like it's interesting because like here we have this word phenomenon, but you know what we're talking about is something that is phenomenal. And when I had those personal UFO experiences, absolutely, it was incredibly phenomenal to me. Kelly, Star Family Therapy, thank you so much for joining in. Please feel free to ask some questions as we hang out here. I gotta keep an eye on the clock. I only got maybe like 20 minutes, give or take. If anybody wants to be able to like jump on air and to be able to practice having a little bit of conversation, please feel free to request to join, especially if you're my Patreon supporters. I'd love to be able to bring some of you guys up as a little bit of a priority. So you're welcome to be able to send a little request and we can just practice talking. Hey, it's just like another podcast that we do on the regular. But for those of you who are tuned in right now, thank you so much. Hey, Nikki, thanks for joining in. And I'd love to, again, just kind of like hear from people here to learn a little bit more about what your thoughts are on the UFO phenomena. Who here has had a UFO sighting? Who here has had UFO experiences that might even take place in dream time as well? So for those of you just joining in, we're just hanging out here. I've had a few UFO experiences. I'll tell you about the first one that I had just to be able to kind of give you guys a little bit of a story. So it's like story time with Mystic Spider-Man. And again, I'll kind of like read through some of the information and we're just free flowing here. We're just hanging out. But ultimately, again, we're creating space for people to be able to practice talking about this because I think that's so important is for us to be able to practice talking about this because up until literally the last year, so much of this conversation was like on the fringe and now it's in the mainstream, which is like so powerful. Let me just take a look at some of the comments here. Do you believe the government will pass on any info? I think honestly, I think the government's gonna botch it. Like that, like I'm expecting them to botch it. I'm expecting them to either A, really lean into the fear, because again, you know, the UFO phenomena, it's a threat to their dominion because it basically if they admit to it, then they're basically admitting like, hey, we're the government and we've been lying to you this entire time. Trust us now. It's like, what? Like, that's hypocritical. Like, come on, what's going on here? But obviously the UFO phenomena, it's a big threat to the government and like world religions in a lot of ways, because it really like it takes out the stability or brings into question a lot of these institutions that have really been, again, kind of holding a government over the world, holding power over the world, including like, you know, questions about the technology. It's like, wait a second, the government's known that there's like this incredibly beautiful technology that's like much more synergistic with the world that we're in, and we could have been using it this entire time. Why the frick have we been investing in like all of these like fossil fuel and like super harmful technologies when we could have been using something that was much more beneficial, much more, again, something that would have like been much more again, just like helpful for the entire world. But again, obviously money, industry, and everything like that. But I'll tell you guys a little bit about my first story. Again, we'll just acknowledge in the comments. Hey Nikki, thanks for joining in. Auntie Bree, thank you as well. Kelly, Star Family Therapy, talking about seeing them in dreams. I have seen 2 UFOs in the past month or so. Yeah. And that's the thing, like the UFO sightings are really starting to pick up. So yeah, again, like there was this whole thing with like after with tucked into the COVID relief bill or something like that, there was this whole thing where it's like in 180 days, the government has to talk about UFO stuff, and they've been kind of like leaking it out and everything. But again, there's an agenda at play, right? So like a lot of people are leaning towards the idea that when the government talks about things, it's going to be talking about things probably in this idea that's going to further separate us from them. Because I think the government will be able to address the circumstance, but I don't think they'll be able to fully answer it, because I think they're seeing it from a very kind of like I don't know, like I feel like there's like a certain degree of consciousness that is required to really be able to open your mind to understanding more of the UFO phenomena. And a lot of people in the government, like maybe they, not to say they're not capable of thinking that way, but they haven't been trained to think that way as well, right? So they're very much approaching it from like logistics and kind of like military and security and things like that. So the government, when they talk about it, they'll basically be saying, we don't really know what these things are. However, they pose a threat to our security. And therefore, maybe we should invest in space lasers or something like that. It's going to be weird. I honestly don't fully know what's going to happen, but it's going to be weird, which is why us having these conversations and really discerning, teaching each other how to be able to discern, and really, again, kind of creating the momentum that is going to help us kind of like bring this wisdom to the surface as a result of direct experience, where it's not just like us like depending on what the government says, but it's really us being able to like share from direct experience. So again, this is incredibly powerful phenomenon. I'll tell you guys a quick story of my first like 9 out of 10 UFO experience. I think the government has to tell Congress, but not necessarily the citizens. Yeah, so there's all these tell Congress, but not necessarily the citizens. Yeah, so there's all these. So many people, again, I think within the government are kind of like trying to keep a box on this, because it's hard to get into the. Am I still going? Am I here? Drop an 1111 in the chat if you guys can hear me okay. I might have froze for a second. I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, it's hard to get into the UFO phenomena without it really opening up more of the bigger picture of just kind of like the metaphysical nature of this reality. Thanks, Kelly. Let me just take a few moments here to be able to see if there are any good questions that I missed. Absolutely. Yeah. And again, you know, like this whole idea of like it, like are UFOs angels? Are UFOs demons? You hear that a lot and everything. And again, I think UFOs, if anything, are a mirror, and they're up for people to be able to put something, like they put their own energy into them, and maybe there's different answers. Like maybe it's literally not all one thing. But the fact is, like, whatever the UFOs are, they're definitely something that's like outside of our paradigm. They're definitely something that open us up to the idea that there's more to this reality than meets the eye, that there is more of a multidimensional aspect to this reality. And for me, that's where, again, you know, we've kind of been conditioned to think that UFOs are literally like, you know, flying here from another place. I think it's actually much more practical that they're actually kind of like phasing in to our dimension. And one of the ways that I try to kind of like help myself at least like understand this, and I'll try and explain it to you, again, try is the best word, is I think of like the earth as almost like a fish tank, and it's like a bubble. It's like a bubble of time. It's like a bubble of space time. And so there's like all sorts of different bubbles, and you can kind of go from one bubble to the next because they're kind of like next to each other, but they're not like the same thing. They're like near each other, but it's like space is relative. So like some of the UFOs, it's like they're kind of like coming into our fish tank and then coming out. So it's like, say this is like water, underwater. It's like they're here in their dimension. They come into our dimension. They're like, hey, what's up, guys? It's us, a UFO. Are we blowing your mind yet? And then they go up out of our dimension, but from down here, we can't see that they've kind of gone back. So it's kind of weird. It's kind of like, I don't know. It's weird to kind of explain it, but it seems to be that whatever they are, they definitely have this ability to kind of like phase in and phase out of our dimension. And so, and I've seen this again, like I've seen this firsthand, which is where for me, it's not even just like so much like theory. Once you have those direct experiences, it's so powerful. And honestly, like this is one of those things we could talk about this all day. It's one of my favorite topics, and I'm so grateful for those of you who maybe, like, if you're new to my profile, drop a 333 in the chat. I'd love to just be able to acknowledge you guys. For those of you who may be new to this, I've been talking about like weird metaphysical stuff for like a long time, and working up to the point where we are now is super meaningful for me because it's exciting to see so many other people who maybe haven't had these conversations before. Maybe they haven't heard some of these ideas, but I'm not sure if you guys saw the recent video that I did with my Bashar channeling, where again, it's basically kind of relating to this idea that some of the UFOs, maybe not all of them. And again, I can't say, like, I'm not, anything I say, take it with a grain of salt, right? Like anything I say, I'm not saying I know 100%. All I know is what I've experienced and my best guess, right? So keep that in mind. But with that idea, there is this idea that a lot of the UFOs, like the occupants of the UFOs, like they're not as alien as we think, right? Like basically, like look at a lot of stuff in the Hollywood movies that kind of depict aliens as like these like super scary threat. And then wherever like the mainstream is like pointing to, try looking the other way and see what you find. And so there's also this idea that it's like maybe the aliens are like literally what I've talked about in the video are closer to our relatives. Like they're actually like maybe like our descendants outside of time, or they're like remnants from an ancient age. And so there's also this idea that, some people kind of get caught up in the idea that aliens are UFOs. They're coming from up there. They're coming from other planets. Personally, I think it's very interesting to consider the idea that some of these UFOs may actually be coming from below, may actually be coming from like remnants of hidden civilizations. Maybe Atlantis didn't sink. Maybe it just kind of like cloaked itself and now it's like still there somewhere, but it's just not in our visible dimension, so to speak. So for me, when I had one of my first UFO experiences, that was the question I was really asking. I'm like, where did that thing come from? And where is it going, right? So, and of course, there's the underwater UFOs. And honestly, the underwater UFOs, I don't think it's just so much they go underwater because that's where the base is, or like that's where they stay. I think it's they go underwater to be able to like travel or something like that. Yeah, it's kind of like Wakanda, like, right? But because like there is this idea that like water is a portal, like water is like a Stargate. So maybe when they go underwater, that's when they can phase in and out of dimensions a little bit more. But I'm curious to know what you guys think for people who are tuned into this. What are you like? Where are UFOs coming from? That's a legitimate question, but definitely the idea that they phase in and out of this reality is one that I think makes a lot of sense for me. And that's where, again, when I've had one of my experiences that I've had, like since I had like a really, really big one last year, almost at about this time in July last year, and there's a whole video on my YouTube. I'll plug my own YouTube. You guys can go check it out. Like it's on my YouTube. There's like an hour-long video where I talk about the whole experience, and there's voice recordings from me and my girlfriend right after it happened, which was like super crazy to like hear us talking about it. And within this experience, and welcome again everybody who's joining in. We're just talking about UFOs and stuff, and I'll be on here for maybe about like 15 more minutes, give or take. But yeah, with this idea, what for me was so powerful was just like this feeling of connection and familiarity and family. This connection of like feeling as if what I had experienced was something that was like a relationship with something that loved us, like something that was like actually like a relative of us as well. And that's where again, I get into this idea. It's just like crap, man. Like maybe some of these UFOs are literally our descendants, and they're literally like coming back in time to be able to help assist us. And it's kind of like this Mobius strip that it's always been like that. It's really freaking mind-blowing, man. But again, the UFOs and the alien experience, it's not just this one dimension. They literally communicate to us through dream space, right? So it's like here we have this physical dimension and we're in like this like bubble and things like that. But when we dream, it's like we're kind of outside of the bubble. And when we're outside of that bubble, we're in the astral planes, the dream planes. And some of the aliens, like they can access that same space from where they are. Like it's like an internet, right? It's kind of like logging into a collective server, and then these different aliens, I don't even like calling them aliens first and foremost, but they can access this. They can access it, and they can access our dream space, and they can communicate with us. What I feel is really, really powerful is the idea that they are here to be able to help assist with our shifting consciousness. And they are learning from us as much as we are learning from them, which is really powerful. Just getting caught up on some of the comments here. Hey, Kelly, thank you so much for engaging, and for everybody else. I believe in multi-dimensional travel, and I'll be willing to bet humans are the dangers. Yeah. I think that the advanced beings, they knew the knowledge of the universe thousands of years ago. Oh yeah, like 100%. Like where we are now, it's kind of like in the Matrix. Like you guys know in the Matrix movie where like the architect, the architect guy, like the Colonel Sanders guy, I'll just call him that. He was basically just like, it's just like, oh, that, like, this is what, like the 4th or 5th version of the Matrix, right? So like, honestly, what I think we are in right now is not like, just like we are way further down the timeline, like way further down the timeline than whatever the origin was. So like there's already like these advanced beings, advanced technology, advanced awareness and understanding of reality. And where we are is kind of like this amalgamation of like a lot of different souls and star families kind of coming together. And there's like other planets or other dimensions where everything's kind of coming here, but what happens on Earth is going to affect like a much larger scale of the universe. It's trippy, man. It's really, really trippy, but it's really beautiful. If you guys want me to share my first UFO experience, go ahead and drop an 1111 in the chat. I'll tell you that real quick. I'm just keeping an eye on the time. I'll be jumping on here again a little bit more, probably throughout the week, doing some more lives about UFOs because, again, just kind of working up to the idea. It's like, will the government do anything? But even if they don't, like we almost have to anticipate that the government is going to botch it. Like don't expect anything for the government. We can develop our own relationship. We can develop our own understanding of the UFO phenomena. And this is really, 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 really important. Seeing some 1111s in the chat. I'll share those real quick. So my first UFO experience, which in retrospect, I think my first UFO experience, whatever I saw, I think it was man-craft, like a man-made craft. Like I'm more than certain that it was a man-made craft. The later sightings that I thought, definitely not man-made craft. Like, I mean, maybe future version of man coming back in time. But the first one that I saw was, I'll just tell you the story real quick. So flashback to 2010. So like 2010, I was, how old was I in 2010? I was like 23 years old in 2010, hanging out at my college with my girlfriend, and we were like laying on the side of a little hill. There's like this little slant, and we were laying on the side, and we were looking up at the sky. And what was really trippy that night is that there was this crazy electrical storm that was happening, and it was all happening in the background, like off in the distance, but it wasn't raining. And we were just kind of lying there, and we might have even been talking about UFOs. We were talking about weird stuff. We were just enjoying each other's company. And then as we were looking up the sky, kind of like on this angle, what we see above us is literally these like 3 lights like appear in the shape of a triangle. And basically what I describe it as is like a triangle craft like decloaked over top of us, and it moved from left to right. And this happened over the course of about like 6 or 7 seconds, and just went no sound, and then just kind of like went off into the distance. And I'm not sure if it went invisible or if it literally just kind of went off into the distance, but nonetheless, we were sitting there, and like literally these 3 lights appear and went, and then it just kind of moved over top of us. And my understanding is that it wasn't like 3 separate lights. It seemed to be more kind of corners of the craft, which again, like I said, like I think that was a man-made craft. TRB3 is usually like this triangle craft. Like there's actually like the what's the word I'm looking for? Like the form, like there's proof that this thing exists, so to speak. And so the blueprints, what am I saying here? Like the proposal, like the patent, that's what I'm looking for. But the thing that was trippy though is that one of the lights on the bottom, it was like glitching out. It wasn't blinking. It was like glitching out as if I was like looking at like a video glitch. Like it was like a glitch in a video game. It was really weird. Like nothing I had seen in this reality had ever looked like that before. The 2 lights were solid, but the bottom light, it was like, it was really weird. So anyways, this happened. I was with my girlfriend at the time. We both saw it, and we were just like, holy shit, like this happened. And again, after that, for me, it really just kind of created this reality where I'm like, okay, like this is not just science fiction anymore. Like this is something that I've experienced, therefore the UFO phenomenon is possible. And it's continued to lead me along this path. Flash forward to last summer, me and my girlfriend intentionally did CE5, and we had a super vivid experience. And again, if you guys are looking for this experience, either DM me, you can DM me on Instagram if that's easier for you. I'll send you a direct link. I have no problem doing that. Like anybody here, if you guys want to reach out to me, DM me on Instagram. That's totally fine. And there's a 1-hour video where we talk about this event, but CE5, human initiated contact, close encounters of the fifth kind. Me and my girlfriend, we did this. Like we literally did this, and maybe I'll talk about that experience in a little bit, but that was life-changing, absolutely life-changing. Like that image in my mind, that vivid, like everything that happened then completely changed both of our lives. Like it was so powerful, and what has continued to happen since then, and the initial sightings that have continued to happen since then. So that's where, like, for me, even from that sighting, even the reason why I'm here on this live, like what am I doing here, right? Like I'm not here for clout. Like I'm here to be able to connect with other people who are passionate about talking about this, so that we can expand consciousness, so that we can create sacred space to be able to have these conversations. And part of the reason why I'm doing that is because after that sighting, it really, and even before the sighting, but after that sighting, it really kind of got me into this chosen role of like, how can I be an ambassador for this information? How can I be an ambassador for this wisdom? And so that's where, again, you know, even me making these videos, talking about it with you guys, like honestly, for me, like this is a part of my dharma. This is a part of my soul path to be able to bring forth more of this wisdom into the collective consciousness, and to be able to create space for us to be able to talk about it as a community, and to be able to develop a relationship, to be the bridge in a lot of ways. So that for me is the thing that I'm super passionate about, is that with the UFO phenomena, I'm not looking at it purely for the sake of just being like, hey, this is entertaining, but I'm looking at it because I know that it's something that we're moving into in terms of our future. And I'm super passionate about being able to develop the relationship with ourselves and the other us's. This is a term that for anybody here who it may be new, some of you have heard me talk about this. And thank you again for those of you who tuned in. There's a few comments that I didn't get to, but I'll scroll up in a second. And I appreciate everybody just hanging out and engaging. And stay tuned for part 2 of my video. I'm releasing those in a little bit, but maybe I'll release it shortly. I'll release it like in a couple hours. But again, you know, like the term that I was saying, OUs, other us's. So for those of you who are looking for a new way to refer to the UFO phenomena, and you're just like, UFOs and the term alien, does that really resonate with you? Like, should we still be calling them aliens? This is where me and my girlfriend, intuitively, we started calling them OUs, which it's the acronym for other us's, which really kind of relates to the similarities and the familiarity and the relationship between ourselves and these beings. So when we're referring to the crafts, the light vessels, yeah, as I can see Upstar referring to in the comment, the light vessels, or whether we're referring to the occupants, the beings, we refer to them as OUs. So when we're like talking about it, we're just be like, oh yeah, like let's go do some OU contact. Like be like, oh, did you have any OU sightings in your dream last night? So for those of you who have been looking for a new term, feel free to use the term OU, other us's. And yeah, for those of you just joining in, Purple, yeah, I've had a few direct experiences. I literally had one last week, like literally on Sunday last week, I think. If you guys are new to my content, like even just check a video that I posted last week, which has footage of a UFO, or at least what looks like a UFO. Like it was really trippy. So like the thing with the UFO experiences, like, man, okay, I gotta jump off soon. So for those of you who are here, I'll give you as much as I can, real quick, and then I gotta jump off. But if you guys are looking for more, send me a DM on Instagram. I can send you the 1 hour long video of the experience that me and my girlfriend had, which is like me talking about it plus audio recording of us after the experience. It was super crazy. Or again, just like leave some comments on my videos and stuff like that. Stay tuned, whatever the case may be. We got more to come. Are they soul? Are they spirit guides? Are they alien? Is it just consciousness and energy? All of the above, I would say, right? Like, I don't think there's really just one answer. But one of the things that was trippy with the last experience that I had was this idea that when it comes to like the OU experiences, the UFO experiences, like there's definitely this idea of synchronicity, which seems to be like the experiences are almost orchestrated beyond time, where you happen to be at the right place at the right time, and then they happen. So for me, it's kind of like this idea that the UFO sightings, like the occupants of the craft, like as consciousness, as the universe doing what it can to help wake itself up, because that's really what's happening. We are the dream awakening to itself. We are the dream awakening to itself. Let that sink in. We are consciousness doing what it can to help wake itself up, even in the form of the OUs and everything like that. But basically there's this idea, and I experienced this last week, and even all the other experiences, it's like, whoa, like right place, right time. Like If I didn't, what blood type are you? Do you want to guess? If you're asking me that question, then I feel like you probably know what blood type I am, because there's some blood types that are kind of correlated with like aliens and stuff. Feel free to guess my blood type. That's weird. I've never asked anybody to guess that. That's what I was trying to figure out, and definitely agree. Okay, so what I was going to say though, the synchronicity of last week. So last week, I filmed what appears to be a UFO, and you guys can literally go check this on my profile. Look back, and there's a video I made. You'll see the title, and it says, I think I filmed a UFO. And what actually happened was, like, I turned my camera, O negative, there it is, O negative, that's correct, that's my blood type. My girlfriend too, both of us have O negative blood type, and she's like totally like, dude, like, like the stuff, she's super connected with the aliens. Both of us are playing a role in this. But anyways, the synchronicity, I'll just tell you this, and then I gotta go pick her up from work after this. That's the only reason I'm jumping off, otherwise I'd stay on with you guys. But the synchronicity of the last sighting is so trippy. So the reason why I'm telling you this is because I want you guys to just open your mind to kind of be able to know that a lot of the UFO experiences are brought forth as a result of intuition, being at the right place at the right time, following your heart, following your spirit, moving towards that which inspires you. And then usually the UFO sightings will happen, but you can also initiate them. And it's kind of like meeting the universe halfway. The UFO that I filmed a week ago, if you look at this footage, it was on the full moon, and I took my camera out and I was filming the full moon, and you see like a little thing fly by, but it was cloudy. So there was a gap in the clouds and there was the moon, like my eye's the moon. That's weird. And then like a UFO goes, and then it flies over it didn't fly over the moon, but visually it kind of like went across the sky in that little tiny gap. The trippiest thing about that was that I literally took my camera out and I started filming, and like 1 second into me filming that footage, boom, little UFO goes by. 1 second. If I had filmed it 5 seconds later, wouldn't have got the footage. But the trippier thing about this is that the only reason I was even able to film that was because a week earlier, or a few days earlier, like 2 days earlier, I had to like completely wipe my phone. Like my phone like glitched out and I had to completely wipe it. Prior to that, I didn't even have room on my phone. You know, like who here is in that circumstance where it's just like constantly deleting images off their phone because it's full? Like that was the case. So like me and my buddy were in a field, and then the space was full on my phone, and I was just like, oh, I'm gonna film the full moon. We were out there kind of like doing intentional contact, but again, I wasn't expecting anything. Literally take my phone out, film the moon, 1 second into that, boom, UFO goes by. And then right after I filmed that, because I was like, whoa, like that was, okay, that just happened, right? And I checked the footage, and again, you guys can see the footage, it's in my video, like go back, it's like a last week's video. And then the other thing is that within that, if that just happened on its own, I'd be like, oh, okay, like maybe that was just a shooting star. It's clearly not a shooting star though. Like you can actually like see there's like a shape to it. It's really trippy. It's like, I'm surprised I got this footage, and I'm grateful I got this footage because again, I want to be an ambassador for this wisdom. But what happened after that footage is that I got the blips. So like this is, and for anybody here, tell me if you've experienced this. Like how many people here have had a UFO experience? If you've had a UFO experience, drop a 777 in the chat. Just do that real quick, let me know. But one of the things that's common within the UFO experiences, within the sightings, is the blips. So they'll go vroom, like it'll just go vroom. It's like kind of like a little vroom, kind of like fades like a light, vroom, and then it fades out. They'll do this. Like this is actually like one of the ways that they communicate. So after I filmed that, literally within like a minute, we turned to another part of the sky, and then I'm like, look for it, like wait for the blips, and then vroom, got a blip, and I was like, whoa, like there it is. Immediately got chills up my spine. Waited for a little bit, like wait, and then like 30 seconds later, vroom, another one, and I was like, whoa. And that was it after that. But even still, like that was enough. Whereas just kind of like those blips were kind of confirming that even the first part of the sighting wasn't just like space junk. Like go back and check that footage. Like honestly, I would appreciate everyone's insight on that footage. Let me know what it feels like watching that footage. And yeah, I'm amazed that I got that footage. It's super beautiful. I've gotten a little bit of other footage of UFOs, but usually it's hard to film it, right? Because it's like a dot off in the distance. Like there was 1 or 2 other times where I filmed stuff, but it's like, it doesn't look like anything on my phone. It literally just looks like a freaking street lamp at a distance or something like that. But this footage, like you can actually freeze frame it and you're like, holy crap, there's like an actual craft there. Like there's something there. So, okay, team, I gotta jump off. Any last comments or questions, go ahead and leave those real quick. I'll give you guys 2 extra minutes, and then I gotta go pick up my girlfriend from work. And again, my girlfriend she's had her own experiences. Like she had an experience when she was younger where there was like a freaking like portal that opened into the sky, and like a bunch of UFOs like came out. And like this is like she was young when this happened. She was like maybe like 6 or 7, and she and even in that moment she was like UFOs, and like she was like with some kids, and they were like what the frick, and they all ran away, and she's just like whoa and stuff. So for those of you who know my partner Lacey, yeah. We talked about these experiences in one of the podcasts that we did. Again, if you guys are new to my content, make sure you follow the other stuff. We've got a team podcast that we do. I've got a Discord server. I've got a Patreon. If you're a conscious media creator, you guys are welcome to connect to my Patreon. If you want to just connect with me further, even if you just want to like I do one-on-one sessions. If you guys honestly want to do like a one-on-one session with me and just kind of like chat about stuff, maybe you got some questions, maybe something that you want to ask me personally, some like insight related to consciousness or spirituality or things like that, feel free to reach out to me. And again, feel free to check out our Discord. Feel free to check out my Patreon. You're welcome to support there. We've got a community of conscious media creators, and all the links for that are in my beacons and Paradigm Shift Radio on Spotify and YouTube Skull Babylon. And again, all that's linked through my profile. And yeah, and we got like meditations throughout the week. So, okay, cool. All right, team. As much as I would love to stay on for another hour, I'll be back. Stay tuned for part 2 of the what you need to know about the UFO phenomena. Go check out my other stuff. Please feel free to send my content to your friends. Check out Contact Tour on Instagram. If you're like looking for like legit stuff, Contact Tour on Instagram. Thank you. Thank you for acknowledging my Canadian accent. I don't even know what, apparently I have a Canadian accent, so cool. All right, team. Thank you so much for your gratitude and feedback. With that said, I'm going to head out. I got to go get my girlfriend from work. And what do you guys, like, should me and my girlfriend come on here and answer some UFO stuff? Would you guys want that? Like, do you want me and her to talk to you guys together about UFO stuff? Please, by all means, like, let me know. And yeah, like, as the videos keep getting out there and more people are joining in, like, this is working because, again, you know, it's inviting more people into this discussion. And then you guys can take this discussion and bring it with you further. Like, that's the most important thing. So if you're interested in this stuff, like, ask your friends about it. Like, go talk to other people about it and everything. Check out the documentary CE5 if you guys haven't heard of that yet. Again, the letter CE5. That's a Stephen Greer documentary that really inspired me. And yeah, CE5, human initiated contact. It's something that you can experience for yourself. We had that experience. And yeah, maybe we'll be back on here a little bit later with my girlfriend. It might not be today, but I'd love to be able to do it in the future. And yeah, keep your minds open, keep your hearts open, keep using discernment, think for yourself, shake your fist at the government, and stick around. We got lots more awesome stuff to come. And again, really just kind of open up your heart to the idea that like these star beings, these UFOs, the OUs, the other S's, they're relatives. You know, like open your idea to that, open your mind to that this is about building a relationship with them. So let's build a positive relationship and let's get really excited about this. Like, we are in the science fiction movies that we grew up watching. We're literally there. Like, just to confirm, in case it wasn't obvious. If you guys enjoyed this broadcast, again, stick around for more. Drop an 1111 in the chat if you guys had fun. I appreciate your feedback. And send me a DM on Instagram if you want me to send you the link for the YouTube video about me and my girlfriend's exciting experience. And yeah, if you have any questions about my Discord or my Patreon, please feel free to reach out to me there as well. And stick around. We got lots more stuff to do. I really want to be able to like focus on UFO stuff like a lot this week. So I'll jump on for more stuff. And I'm also, I'm going to upload this to YouTube as well. So, or to, maybe I'll upload it to YouTube, but I was going to say Instagram as well. Cool. All right. Seeing those 1111 guys, I appreciate you so much. Thank you as always. And yeah, stay tuned. If I'm coming back here and broadcasting with my girlfriend, definitely keep an eye, keep subscribed, and keep your eyes on the sky and keep looking inside. So perfect. All right. Thank you guys so much. Have an awesome rest of your day. And yeah.